like we couldn't honestly, even in my best expectations, I couldn't have asked for that kind of engagement. And that's when you realize, like, honestly, it was like a nice feeling waking up every day and reading these things, reminding yourself why you come to work every day. Like, you're actually changing real.
Few thousand in a community, I think, is much more powerful than maybe, few dozen thousands on social media, at least, because these are people, like Rohit said, who have some belonging and their identity associated with your brand's identity. Going back to your own community examples, and I want to go a little deeper now. Starting from maybe Aditi, in your case, you talked about how FamPay helped you, but talk about what was the early day thought process like in the organization. There are certain moment of epiphany when you see, oh, okay, we need to build a community, right? Like something might have triggered that. What was that in case of FamPay?
Got it. So I'll start talking about this. So say a lot of us use Swiggy, Zomato to order food and all, right? Now our decision to actually start ordering for very few people was driven by, because my friend also orders online, I'm also going to do it. It was mainly driven by the utility of it, that, I want the convenience to order online. I read an ad and I went through an ad, or I maybe heard about it like casually somewhere, or maybe, and I just got into it. So that's utility driven acquisition, right? Now, say for FamPay, what started happening, what we realized was, and it's a funny anecdote, that when we started giving out cards, a lot of people came to us without really understanding that what's the utility of that FamPay. They knew that, okay, payments and all kar paenge. They didn't understand that they'll get a custom UPI also, they'll get a P2P, peer-to-peer money transfer functionality also. No, why did they come to us? Oh, it's a beautiful customized card with the person's name on it, right? So now their decision was driven, through my friends. They were getting inspired by their friends to use this product, right? So that was the first early indication that, okay, now a lot of adoption will happen from people itself rather than just our product, right? Because product is new to the market. Many people may not really understand. Even when we set up our customer team, it was so funny that a lot of times we wouldn't get queries in the early days on like, my UPI is not working and this and that. They would come to us talking to, you all shared my friend's reshared as a brand, you all reshared my friend's story on Instagram and not mine. So that again told us that, people are looking this as a status thing, which is not always bad, right? It means something that, you're financially literate to have a card of your own and spend on your own and all of those things. That was again an indication that, okay, this is something which is people inspired. Third was just for us to build a community, maybe not in terms of our utility, like to sell more cards and stuff, but to bring more people under our umbrella, or at least let them know about FamPay. Was just a sheer lack of communication channels and systems for Gen Zs, right? 90% of a high schooler's friend circle is their school, remaining 10% is their mohalla and locality. They don't network really outside of it. Like Instagram is an audience building tool. It's not like a networking tool and stuff. Corona happened, that went even further down. Like, they're not even going to schools, they're not even going down to the grounds and stuff. So what do? These are really energetic, enthusiastic people who want to connect with folks. That's when we realize, okay, FamPay, by the virtue of serving that audience, could be that first community, right? Where people come to network, learn with each other. Gen Zs want to collaborate with each other because the annual functions and stuff weren't happening during Corona. Do things together. So yeah, these were some of the early indications which we realized, okay, community is going to be core for us. And that's how we started. And then the initial experiments also validated our hunches.
So, Got it. Understood. What was the case in case of Man Matters, Rohit? What was that moment of epiphany for you guys?
So I think since day one, our story has been men need to talk, right? Men need to talk about problems, men need to talk about this thing, that thing, etc. So since day one, we had WhatsApp groups, we had customers, etc. And WhatsApp groups limited to 256 people. So we went out and created 10, 20. As we scale, we just kept creating more and more WhatsApp groups. and we would listen. And honestly, a lot of things in the beginning used to worry us, like, oh, we can't moderate what people say. People would put spammy stuff, etc. Interestingly, we didn't really have to worry about any of these things. What was just surprising is that when you're trying to create something that doesn't exist, that people really want, people are so passionately talking about it in such a positive way that like conversations ran like all day on hair, on sexual performance, on weight loss, nutrition, health, problems we didn't even know. Like no amount of market research could have shown us like how big some of these insecurities are, as well as how big so much unawareness was, right? So since day one, we knew community is something we built. Where I think we kind of took bigger plunges was from WhatsApp. We tried Telegram. Telegram was a better platform than WhatsApp in terms of scalability, but didn't really work out. Then somewhere we started Discord. Honestly, we knew nobody would know what Discord is, right? Like except if you're a gamer or in the education space in India, Discord wasn't big. But it just had all the features we wanted, and we said let's try it out. And we thankfully had a big enough Instagram base where we just put what people are talking about and say, if you want to join the conversation, come download the app. And we were just like, we couldn't like honestly, even in my best expectations, I couldn't have asked for that kind of engagement. And that's when you realize, like, honestly, it was like a nice feeling waking up every day and reading these things, reminding yourself why you come to work every day. Like you're actually changing real people's lives. And like I said earlier, touch points, right? It's not, community is not we're creating it for them. We are also just nodes in the community. Everyone is part of that community. And we were learning just as much. People were saying, hey, like, can you launch a vegan protein powder? So we went and did that. Some guy, I remember his name too, Sagar on Discord, asked us for vegan protein powder. So we went out and launched that. We started asking our customers, okay, like you're in the community, you love Man Matters. What do you want? What else can we help you with? What else can you? And there's no, like, it's so easy that way, right? When you start listening to your customers and just building. So just community just created, like in all its form, just created, everyone built Man Matters together in that sense, right? Of course, compared to how many people we actually serve, our community is rather small, but it was a good enough sample set for us to keep going.
Nice. And what was the scale of your community at that time? Like, what was the highest scale when you were at Discord? Like primarily Discord?
On Discord, I think we had about 2,500 people at this thing. But interestingly enough, when we decided to build it out on our app, and now we have a lot more people on our app, we kind of had to, because of bandwidth, we kind of had to stop spending so much time on Discord. We didn't have the time, but till today people still post, ask questions on Discord, etc. Like the engagement still runs, and that kind of was a testament to this.
Got it. This is super. I think people sometimes feel that few thousand, especially if you're building like a very, very large brand. Sometimes people feel few thousand is not a big number, but few thousand in a community, I think, is much more powerful than maybe, few dozen thousands on social media, at least. Because, these are people like, Rohit said, who have some belonging and their identity associated with your brand's identity. So I think 2,500 is phenomenal in my mind, that kind of engaged community and that number can really add a lot. Thanks, Rohit, for sharing. Arun, I've kept another question for you. Given today's topic is ROI, and I think MoEngage is relatively more evolved in terms of how they've seen community over last few years. Would love to have you talk about a little bit in more detail around how do you think about community building at MoEngage. How do you, what is the team structure today that you have?
Yeah, sure. So, as a team, as a full-time team, if you will, we're not very big. we had 3 of us, another person joining, so about 4 of us full time. The idea is not to expand out this core team. I think we look at ourselves as a community team as more of facilitators, but we work with, say, regional marketing teams that have field teams, so they could organize mixers and peer learning events so that people can come together, get to meet each other and ask each other questions and so on. So we basically take that peer learning ethos and we apply that to various formats. And we work with various teams who could help us execute on those formats. So we do these customer meetups where, again, MoEngage is a B2B product, so there are a bunch of features that you could use. There are all kinds of different use cases that you could solve. And some customers are using it in a certain way, certain other customers are using it in a certain other way. So it helps to bring them all under the same roof so that they can sort of exchange notes. So we work with the customer success team to organize events of that nature. In terms of a team, fundamentally, we do have someone who is sort of the custodian of of the peer learning. So this person builds out the academy where we have a bunch of courses. Again, these are not courses which feature us teaching topics. So you'll not find my face on any of those courses, but we get people from the industry to deliver those courses. So that's an initiative that's been ongoing for a while now. We of course have a website, and we just released a new website just a couple of days ago, which has a pretty elaborate library and which has, I would say, insights and roundups from a lot of events and peer learning forums that we've put up in the past. So you'll find all those articles. So there's a person who takes care of all of that. This person then works with our content marketing team, and they actually help us craft all of these pieces, which we then distribute. And then, of course, we have a couple of other people who I would say form the execution muscle behind a lot of these, because as you could understand, this cross-functional and requires talking to multiple teams and multiple stakeholders. So yeah, that's what all of us are doing most of the time. In terms of what we do, as I said, the best way to think about how we're building this out is, again, we are quite mission driven in the sense that we want everyone to sort of elevate their game. And this is something that I mentioned at the beginning, right? And we think about what are the ways in which this can be done. So courses and master classes and mixers, and we also do larger conferences. We've got one coming up in a few weeks. So we're doing all of that stuff. Staying true to the ethos of bringing industry experts and practitioners and people who have been there, done that, getting them to share their stories and getting them to share actionable information, and giving them a platform and a forum to do this in. We're also expanding so we're building a Slack group as we speak. Something like Slack may not work for everyone because it's a B2B audience. So it's also very hierarchical. There are different types of personas within each customer or each account that you're looking at. There are the very top level decision makers. How much time would they really have to get onto your Slack group and engage there? So you're mindful of that and create forums